My name is Fazal Saib. I am the CEO of First Community Bank. I would like to thank all the tweeters and messages that has come up this morning, and some very interesting questions that have been posed to us. My take on this is that I think we have still some work to do in terms of creating awareness to the communities at large in terms of what is Islamic banking. And I try to answer some of these questions in a very short way this morning. But again, very briefly, Islamic banking is based on the divine laws that's promulgated in the Quran in terms of one is interest is forbidden, two in terms of the transparency of transactions, and three, there should be absolutely no ambiguity in terms of contracts. So that's the fundamental basis on which all contracts and contractual obligations are taking place within Islamic banking. The other point is there was that of Islamic banking is that there must be an asset, underlying asset in order for it to for a contract to be consummated, and that would mean that we will be unable to finance just money on money. So, for example, if you wanted an asset, whether it's a car, house, furniture, etc., the bank would then buy it and the bank would then sell it. And that's the most simplistic way of looking at Islamic banking. There were questions around construction finance. How would that happen? Obviously, there's a long gestation period in terms of construction period. And, there's another way of financing those kind of activities, and that could be the bank would take some equity with the partner, and once the construction is over, the bank will then sell it either to the partner or to any other investor. Interestingly, people also asked me some very interesting questions in terms of broader economic issues like the sukuk market and what does FCB think about it. And we believe it's a very lucrative market. I think it's a market in which our products for this country will be very, very viable, particularly in terms of financing coming from Islamic countries, the Middle East and East Asia. There's definitely lots of cash lying around, and I think those kind of investments will help the country tremendously in terms of its infrastructure development for this country. This bank is for everyone, and as long as people can abide by the rules of the organization in terms of fairness, justice and ethics, anyone is most welcome. In many other countries you would find large numbers of non-Muslims banking with such banks, and a typical case is Malaysia, where more than 50% of bank customers are Chinese non-Muslims. So I think for those people that believe in protecting society, ensuring that society acts and behaves correctly, this is the type of banking for those kind of groups of people. I try to explain that it's a trade-based institution in which we will buy and then sell goods, and on that basis we will then make a markup, and that is very, very different from interest. So the other questions that were posed to me were, what's the difference between usury, interest and riba? Riba is an Arabic term for usury, which means excessive charges on money, and the definition of interest is money made on money. So by the very nature of Islamic banks, we are unable to make money on money, because money is a means to an end rather than a means in itself. So we would, in order for us to generate and benefit society, we believe that trading and engaging in economic activity rather than keeping money and letting money grow in itself will benefit society. There's a number of issues around conventional and Islamic banking, but fundamentally Islamic banks no interest, whereas conventional banks can work on interest. Conventional banks, when I say works on interest, meaning that you would be able to take an overdraft, you'll be able to take a personal loan without declaring what the asset is, and then therefore you would pay more money on the money that you borrowed. In an Islamic bank, if you had to come to the bank and ask, I just want money, the answer would be no. What is the asset that you were looking for? Whether it's for your trade purpose, or whether it's for a house, or whether it's for any other goods that you want, the bank would ask you, and then the bank would then buy it and then sell it to you with a markup. And that's how Islamic banks make money.